I wake early. The house is quiet. The light is new. It seeps under the curtains. It moves across the floor. It stays, and then it moves again. Time is doing that. Slowly. Softly. You can almost feel it breathe in the stillness of the room. It does not announce itself with a loud sound. It arrives like a shy guest, hesitant at first, then filling the empty space with its presence. You can see it in small things. A kettle left on the stove, a chair by an open window, a page turned and not turned back again. These things do not shout for your attention. They show, they do not tell. They are quiet witnesses to the moments that pass. They hold the memory of a hand, a thought, a pause. There is a clock on the wall. Its hands move without a sound. You forget it is there for hours. Then you look up. The light has shifted. The shadows have grown long. The clock has been counting all along. It has been keeping a record of the quiet passing of life. It asks for nothing. It simply marks the slow, steady march from one second to the next. The street outside is empty. A single car might pass, its sound fading quickly. The world has not woken up yet. This is the time before the noise, before the rush. In this quiet, you can see things more clearly. You can notice the way a leaf trembles on a branch. You can hear the hum of the refrigerator. Time feels more real in these moments. It feels like a space you can enter. There is a man who comes to the same bench every day. He brings a bag with a sandwich. He reads the paper. He ties his shoe twice, always the left one first. At first, you think it is just a habit, a simple routine. You see him once and you forget him. Then, after a week, you see the same calm, the same deliberate movements. It is not drama. It is proof. It is evidence of a choice made again and again. His presence becomes a small, solid fact. Time has a way of making the quiet things clear. It takes the small, repeated action and gives it weight. Think of a plant on a windowsill. Each day it receives a little water. The act is small, almost an afterthought. You pour the water and walk away. But the days turn into weeks. The weeks turn into months. The plant grows, its leaves unfurl, it leans toward the light. Time does not create the growth out of nothing. It reveals the effect of the steady, small care that was given. We are often looking for the grand gesture, the big decision, the turning point that changes everything at once. But time is not always interested in those things. It is more interested in the small promises we keep to ourselves. The promise to show up, the promise to try one more time, the promise to be patient. These are the things that time eventually reveals as the true foundation of a life. Effort is like that too. The first hour of work looks like any other hour. A brush, a pen, a pair of hands moving over a surface. At the start, the work feels small and fragile. You cannot tell if it will last. You cannot see the final shape. It is just a beginning, full of doubt and uncertainty. The single stroke seems insignificant, but time keeps watching. It is a silent observer in the corner of the room. Day after day, the work sits in the light. It grows a little each time. Its edges become more real. Its form becomes clearer. No one rushes it. No one forces it. Time simply allows the slow accumulation of effort to become visible. The scattered marks begin to form a coherent picture. I think of a writer I know. She has a small desk in a small room. Every morning she sits there for 2 hours. Some days the words come easily. Some days they do not. But she stays there. The chair holds her. The desk holds her notebook. The habit holds her steady. The world does not see this. It only sees the finished book years later. But time saw the whole thing. It saw the empty pages. It saw the crossed out lines. It saw the moments of frustration and the small breakthroughs. It saw the discipline of returning to the desk each day, regardless of mood. The book is not the miracle. The miracle was the quiet effort, repeated over and over. The final product is just the shape that time gave to that devotion. Excuses are different. Excuses are different. They are loud at first. They have a lot of energy. They move fast and fill the air with reasons. They say, "Later, I will start tomorrow. I am too busy right now. The voice is easy to make. It is convincing in the moment. It feels like a valid reason, a shield against the demand for action. It gives a sense of temporary relief. But time is patient. It does not argue with the excuse. It simply waits. When days pass, and then weeks, the excuses begin to thin. They lose their weight under the slow, steady light of passing days. They no longer hold up. They become transparent, like thin fabric held up against the sun. You can see right through them. The promise of tomorrow becomes a hollow echo. You can see the truth of this in an abandoned project, a half-painted canvas in the attic, a language course with only the first chapter completed, a musical instrument that is never played. At first, the reasons were strong. No time, no energy, something more important. The excuses were solid walls. Now, years later, the walls have crumbled. Time did not judge, it did not scold. It simply revealed the difference between a real obstacle and a convenient story. The dust is the evidence of what the excuses built, nothing. Time shows us the space where action could have been. Discipline does not shout either. It is not a drill sergeant in your head. It enters with the small things. It enters with the quiet choices. A door shut at the right hour to begin work. A page turned in a book at the same time each day. A lamp switched on for one more hour when the rest of the house is dark. It seems so small in the moment, almost trivial. It is easy to dismiss, but it wakes a shape. Day by day, a shape grows from these small acts. It becomes an outline of who we are. It becomes an outline of who we are becoming. Time draws inside that outline. It fills it with the details of our choices. That is how discipline shows itself to the world. I once knew a runner. He was not a professional athlete. He was a man with a job and a family. But every morning before the sun came up, he would put on his shoes. Rain or shine, cold or warm, he would run the same streets. No one was there to cheer for him. There was no finish line with a crowd. His only audience was the sleeping city. His only audience was the slow dawn. His discipline was not for show. It was a private conversation between him and the pavement. But over the years, time made that conversation public. Not in a loud way. You could just see it in him. In the way he carried himself. In the calm energy he possessed. The discipline had shaped him from the inside out. Time revealed the strength built in those quiet, lonely mornings. Well, yeah, that's how it happens. Intention is a soft thing. It can be spoken once, like a wish whispered into the air. I want to learn this. I want to build that. I want to be a better person. But time will test that wish. It will watch to see what happens next. It is the silent, patient judge of all our stated desires. It listens to our words, but it watches our hands. If the wish is real, it returns in the form of work. It shows up in the small efforts, the repeated attempts. If it is just a collection of words, it fades away like breath on a cold window. Time makes the true intention visible. It shows the one who kept going, even when it was hard. It does not punish the rest. It just leaves them plain, like a bare wall where a picture was meant to hang. Think of two people who say they want to be writers. One talks about the great novel they will write one day. They describe the plot and the characters to anyone who will listen. The other person says little, but they sit down each morning and write a few hundred words. They fill notebooks. They cross out sentences. They start over. Years pass. The first person is still talking about the book they will write. The second person has a finished manuscript. Time did not care about the grand announcements. It cared about the quiet, consistent action. It revealed that one person had an idea, while the other had a true intention. The intention was not in the words they spoke, but in the pages they filled. I think about a table of old things, a shoebox filled with letters, a watch that no longer ticks, its hands frozen at a forgotten hour, photographs with their corners worn thin from being held. At first they just look like clutter, the remnants of a life that is past. They seem like a random collection of objects, disconnected and silent. They are easy to overlook. But if you sit with them for a while, they begin to read like a map, They show what was lived. They tell you where someone tried and where they stood still. The faded ink speaks of a sustained connection. The unworn book speaks of a path not explored. Time makes these maps simple to read. It turns clutter into a story, a quiet narrative of a person's journey. Each object is a point on that map. A well-used cookbook tells a story of nourishment and family. A set of worn-out tools tells a story of repair and creation. A stack of travel guides from the same country tells a story of a deep and abiding curiosity. These things are the physical proof of where a person's time and energy went. We live our days one by one. We make small choices. We pick up one thing and put down another. But time is gathering these choices. It is arranging them into a pattern. One day, someone will look at the objects we leave behind, and in them, they will see the true shape of our days, the real geography of our lives. There is a street I pass at dusk. The lights begin to blink on in the windows, one by one. People move inside those small squares of yellow light. Some rooms bloom with life, full of movement and shadows. Some rooms sit dark and empty for a long time, night after night. The light tells me a story. It tells me which rooms have hands in them, which rooms have someone at a desk, leaning into their work. It shows which rooms have someone still awake, thinking, long after the rest of the world has gone to sleep. You can guess the shape of a life by the light you see at night. You can feel the presence of effort or the quiet of absence. Time writes that guess, and it is often right. A single lit window late at night is a powerful sign. It speaks of dedication. It speaks of a deadline. It speaks of a passion. It speaks of a worry that will not let a mind rest. It is a small beacon in the darkness. It says, someone is here. Someone is trying. The darkness around it makes that small light seem even more significant. It is a quiet declaration against the silence of the night. And the dark windows tell a story too. They speak of rest, perhaps, or of travel, or of a home that is no longer lived in. Night after night, the pattern repeats. The same lights turn on. The same windows stay dark. Time, through this simple play of light and shadow, reveals the rhythms of the lives being lived behind the walls. It shows us where the energy flows. We like quick things. We want sudden change. We want the new idea that fixes everything all at once. But time asks for small things. It does not ask for noise. It asks for a slow hand, a morning that comes again and again. We do not like to wait. We grow impatient with the slow pace of real change. Yet, what lasts is often quiet. It is not a shout in the crowd. It is a small, clear bell at dawn. Think of a tree by the side of the road. The first spring, it shows a little green. The second spring, a little more. The branches get stronger. The branches get thicker. You can sit under it after 10 years. It is shade now. It is a presence. This is not a magic trick. It is slow work. Time kept adding rings, one by one. I met a woman who kept a notebook. She wrote one line every night before she slept. Just that. Some nights, a single word. Some nights, a full thought. 1 year, 2 years, 10 years. The notebook grew thick. Inside, there was a life. Not a perfect life. Not a life for show, but a real life, captured in ink. Time had shaped that life on the page. And so, I go back to the window now. The sun is a thin line on the horizon. It moves a fraction of an inch. The room fills with a little more light. A cup of tea on the table cools down. A pen waits. I do not know what will come next. I do not know what the day will bring. But I know this moment is true. And I know that time will keep showing the rest.